Hello and welcome to today's daily video about libraries. I'm Mrs. Julia Alano and I teach at Hamilton Southeastern High School in Fishers, Indiana. Our video today, in this video, we'll learn to use procedures that allow programmers to draw upon existing code, allowing them to write programs more quickly and with more confidence. So what will we learn today? The learning objective is to select appropriate libraries or existing code segments to use in creating new programs. That goes along with these essential knowledge statements. So as you can see there, we learn more about code segments and libraries, as well as application program interfaces. So let's get to it. We will be using some code that you've seen before in previous AP Daily videos, as well as found on the AP exam reference sheet. So here's a screenshot of the robot commands, and we'll be seeing some of that in our examples today. So you can find that on the exam reference sheet. So let's take a look at an example. Previously on AP Daily, you've also learned about developing and calling procedures. So here we have a procedure at the right. The procedure is move backwards. So I've written a procedure, as you can see, with the robot commands. And so I want to know, could the procedure on the right help in writing the code to get the robot from where it currently is with a square in front of it that it can't go into to the gray square at the top left? So using our robot commands, as you can see, that procedure, move backwards, would likely be helpful. But we're going to see if we can write our program maybe a little quicker since we already have that procedure and don't have to work through those commands. So let's take a look. All right, so let's try out this code with our robot. So we have the program, move backwards, move forward, rotate right, move forward, move forward. So we hope that our robot gets to the gray square and we were able to use this procedure that was already written for us. So the first line that the robot does, move backwards, will turn the robot around and then move forward. Then it'll move forward again, rotate right, move forward, and it makes it to the gray square. So by using that procedure, we were able to more quickly come up with a program to get our robot to the gray square. So let's talk about documentation. In the previous example, you had the entire procedure, but in many cases, the entire procedure is way too long for you to access. So would you be able to use this procedure at write in a program if you needed to calculate an average? As you can see, the procedure has the name of the procedure and the parameters that it takes. So what would you need to know in order to use it? Would that procedure header be enough? Or is there other things that you would need to know in order to use the procedure in your own program? This is called documentation, what you need to know. So what we really need to know is a little bit more about the parameter and what will the procedure do. So the procedure calc average takes a list of integer values representing grades and returns their average. So with this information, you should be able to use this procedure without really knowing what's going on in the procedure, but able to use it in your own program and make your coding much more efficient and faster. So libraries and APIs. So what we've seen there are procedures can be used in our programs very easily and make the programming easier. So a file contains these procedures that can be used in a program is considered a library. So where does API come in? An application program interface, or API, provides specifications for how procedures in a library behave and can be used. So basically the documentation. So you have your library, which has all the procedures, and then the documentation for those is considered the API. API, you may have heard, and is used very widely in today's tech world. Many large tech companies and social media companies provide APIs for programmers to interact with their products. And many programming languages have their own API so that you know how to interact with that programming language and you don't have to become an expert in every language there is. So, and a perfect example of a library is the exam reference sheet that you can see here. So we saw the robot code earlier, but there are a ton more items on the exam reference sheet. And this is an example of the code that you can use and how it is used. So you can see how the if statements are written in this programming language, as well as repeat blocks, and you'll see how procedures are written in this programming language as well. So this is a perfect example of the procedures and code you can use and the documentation for it. So most programming languages have this. So let's try out some practice here. So which of the following procedures would be most useful as part of a program that determines grade point average, or your GPA? A procedure is equal, which takes two positive integers as input and returns true if their values are equal. B, a procedure calc quotient, which takes two positive integers as input and returns their quotient. C, a procedure get high grade, which takes a list of grades as input and returns the highest value. Or D, a procedure calc status, which takes a positive integer credits and returns a string grade classifier such as senior, junior, or sophomore, etc. So in this case, we're looking for one that will help us determine your grade point average. Most grade point averages are determined by taking the points, or your letter grade points, divided by total credits. So since we include division there, the most useful procedure here would be calc quotient, because it would take those two integers and divide that value for us. So that is the most helpful in the situation of determining your GPA. So what should we take away from today's lesson? So remember that you can select appropriate libraries or existing code segments to use in creating new programs, as we did in the examples. And so you can see the essential knowledge statements here, remembering that a library contains these procedures and that they can make it much easier for you to write programs. And that an API, or application program interface, is where you can really find out how those procedures in the library behaves, and then you can use it to make your program more powerful. Thank you very much. Have a great day.